Today I want to talk to y'all about something a little different. Not different, maybe different for y'all, but it's pretty regular for me because it's my story. It's how I lost my legs in a car accident, and I guess I just want to start from the beginning. All right, I had some notes here. I ain't gonna keep reading from it, but I just wanted to get some key points out the way, so I did have a piece of paper. Me and Justin were driving. All right, so it was me and a buddy of mine and another buddy actually, but it was the three of us, and their names were Josh and DK, and DK was driving, it was his truck, and he was driving a 1990 model F-150. And the crazy thing about this story is that it just shows you that, you never know how things go in life, but you know how when, all right, here we go. We had just left my house out in Kemper County, and that's about 30 miles from Meridian, which is where we was heading. And me and my friend Josh had just gotten into an argument. You're going to see how this ties in later, how it's relevant, but this is crazy. Me and my friend Josh had just had an argument in my mama's yard, literally about who was riding. BITCH is what we called it, but we'll just call it shotgun for now. I wasn't going to ride in the middle, which was BITCH. I was going to ride by the door. We was in a 1990 model F-150. So he eventually finally gets in the middle, and I'm in by the window, and DK's driving his truck, So we take off, and we get to almost to Meridian, which is halfway in between the two, which is a little town called Collinsville, Mississippi. All right. No, and by the way, we haven't quite got to Collinsville, but we're about a Hockaloogie away from it. You could drive a golf ball to Collinsville from the site of my accident. And do you all remember, this is something else that I have to explain, but it's not quite relevant. But, it is relevant, but it's not a big deal, but it's still something you need to understand. Do y'all remember the phones, the little Nokia phones, the ones that had the light, that you could change the case that lit up, and they could change the antenna that lit up real bright and all kind of crazy colors? That's what I remember about it, was his phone doing that, all kind of crazy colors. If y'all remember the phones I'm talking about, then you'll for sure remember the fact that they had the game Snake on them that everybody played back then. Okay, so we're riding down this long-ass straightaway, which I'm going to cut some footage to for y'all to see and understand really what I mean by a straightaway. But we're headed down this long straightaway right before Collinsville, and his phone rings. And, you got to understand, it's right at dark. This is back in like 2000, so it was not the time frame now where everybody's used to lights and LED lights and bright lights and all that old shit. Like anything that lit up bright was the police, or either, it was not as normal as it is now. Okay. So his phone lights the heck up, and he looks at it, and he's like, all right, hang on, whoa, everybody chill out, it's my mom. So everybody in the truck be's quiet, and as soon as he goes to hit answer, he drops the phone, and we're still going down the road about 65, 70 miles an hour, so he bends down to pick up his phone, and just that fast, he comes back up to pick it up, but by the time he does, he runs off the road about, 18 inches, 22 inches, something like that, a foot and a half, and it wasn't like he was doing no bad driving or nothing like that. He barely runs off the road, but when he does, he clips a bridge rail. He clips a bridge rail, and when he does, the bridge rail runs right through the passenger side of the vehicle, and the bridge rail catches me right on my legs. All right, let's stop the story right there. And let me just say that I do not advocate or approve of or ask people to ride without their seatbelt or nothing like that. As a matter of fact, to this day, every time I hop in a vehicle, before I start the car or before I let somebody start the car, I snap my seatbelt, and I believe in seatbelts, and I believe everybody out there should wear their seatbelt. But all that being said, this particular story, if I would have had my seatbelt on, they would have probably had to have somebody else telling y'all this story because I wouldn't be here. Because you can imagine a bridge rail hitting the car and us going down the road and barely running off the road a few feet, the bridge rail would have run right through my side of the car. And if I would have had a belt on that held me in place, then the seatbelt would have hit me right in the stomach chest area. You know, so I don't know if God would have been strong enough to keep me alive through that or not. But luckily enough was that back then wasn't the click it or ticket thing or nothing like that. So I didn't have my seatbelt on, you know. So as in my mind, I don't remember none of this part. I would tell you exactly what I remember. And the parts I don't remember, I would tell you that I'm guessing. But this part is a part that I don't remember and that I am in fact guessing. But I'm assuming that because I didn't have on my seatbelt, that when we first impacted with the bridge, before the bridge got back to my part of the car, that it threw me up and forward like that because the bridge rail just caught my legs, you know. So I can imagine that if I would have had on my seatbelt would have held me in place and the bridge rail hits me in the stomach. But instead, I'm thinking the bridge rail hit the front of the truck and the impact of that threw me forward. Because if you're standing in front of the truck and you look at it after my accident, if you're looking at the truck and you see both headlights, well, if you look at the passenger side headlight, if you look to the right of it about 6 inches, there's a hole that goes straight through the dang truck all the way to the tailgate. I'm talking about it hit the seat that I was sitting in and folded it all the way into the back of, into the cab of the, into the bed of the truck. You know, so my only imagination is that if I would have my seatbelt on, it hits me all through here. It probably kills me. But instead, somehow I got through up and forward, and it caught my legs. Okay, so the bridge hit me so hard and fast that I didn't know what happened. You know, I was unsure what happened. So I try to reach and grab the door to open it up to get myself out of the car, you know, because I know I'm hurt bad. But you can imagine if my side of the truck hit the bridge rail and the bridge went all the way through the truck to my side, that my side is now hanging off the bridge, you know. But I didn't realize this, so I open the door to get out, and when I do, I fall them 15 or 20 feet onto them big gray rocks. I'll show you a clip of it, but I land on them big gray rocks that are below the bridge. Sound check, I hope I'm back. But anyway, I land on them big gray rocks, and it shatters my whole hip, you know. So anyway, so now I'm under the bridge and I'm in bad shape and I know it, but I don't really know it. So I hear my friend DK up top of the hill. He's asking everybody, you know, like he's asking Josh, are you okay? Well, Josh, the ashtray hit him in his shin really, really hard, like all the way to the bone. It dug into his bone, but he was okay. But that's the first accident DK seen, so in his mind, he's hurt, you know. But I'm down there laying on the bridge, laying under the bridge on the gray rocks in bad shape, you know. My left leg is still up there in the truck where the bridge rail got it, but my right leg is twisted all the way up around beside my hip. Up around beside my shoulder, and my toes are going crazy like this, like just going crazy. Well, that's when I knew how bad a shape I was in, because I kept looking at my toes and I kept trying to stop them from wiggling. And there was nothing I could do to stop them from wiggling. I'm like trying with all my might to stop them from wiggling, and I can't. Like, it don't matter how hard I try, I can't get them to quit wiggling. So I close my eyes and I quit looking at them. But while I'm closing my eyes, I'm sitting there praying, and I'm like, please, God, just like let me live, you know, let me live. And I just get this thought in my head that I'm like, all right, Colby, if you lay here with your eyes closed, you know, life's going to be okay and it's going to be all right and everything's going to be fine. But you're probably not going to wake up again and you're probably just going to die, you know, and that's going to be okay. But that's just going to be what happens. You're just going to be dead. or you can open up your eyes and fight. And so I was just so scared that, like, with my toes trembling and with my toes twitching like that, like, I just couldn't stand the idea of me just dying without a fight. So I opened my eyes, but I wouldn't look at myself. And during this time, right about then, like, I start feeling this bad burning all over me, like burning from head to toe, like you wouldn't believe, you know, like a burning, like what it almost felt like was like that there was ants just eating me up from head to toe, like fire ants. Just, I'm talking about, like, if you imagine if fire ants was all over you, eating you from head to toe. So I take a couple of deep breaths and I start wiping myself off, and then my hands start burning. Wherever I'm wiping myself off starts burning real bad, you know. And so when I'm wiping myself off, I see my hands and I realize there's ants all over them. And I'm like, oh, I am being ate alive by ants, you know. So I start trying to wipe them off, but every time I start trying to wipe them off, it makes my legs hurt worse, you know, from where I'm injured. So finally, I just had to start dealing with, like, do I have to accept the pain on my legs or the burning from my arms? Because the more movement I'm doing on my raking these ants off, the more it's hurting my legs. So finally, I just lay there, you know, I just give up on the ants and I quit, you know. And it starts burning so bad from these ants eating me alive. Well, finally, DK looks over. He's about to look over the bridge. He's been up there checking on Josh the whole time, and he's like, "Colby, are you okay? Are you okay?" And I was like, "DK, don't look over the bridge, dude. Don't look over the bridge." And he didn't understand what I meant, you know. So he looks over the bridge, and when he looks over at me, as soon as he looks over at me, he gags and looks back the other way. And I was like, oh no, you know, like just seeing his face reaction of seeing me told me all I needed to see about myself. You know, like I knew I was in bad shape. And so finally he tells me, he's like, "Home, I've called the ambulance. They're on the way. They'll be here in like 15 minutes. So I lay there for like them 15 minutes under the bridge with one leg up in the truck, this one all the way twisted around me, the toes going crazy, ants all over me, eating me up. And I hear this voice in my head, y'all are going to think I'm crazy or whatever. I don't give a damn what you think. Like, I know the truth. I know the truth. I hear this voice in my head, this God, and he tells me, he's like, "Colby, you can lay back and you can close your eyes and go to sleep, and I'll take it from here. And things, you know, that'll be the end of it. It'll be okay. Or you can fight, you know, and it's up to you which one you want to do. Close your eyes and I'll take the pain from you and you can go to sleep. Or you can fight for your life." And I opened my eyes, and I couldn't stand to see myself twitching and kicking and stuff, my toes twitching and kicking. So I looked the other way, and I just started praying, and I told God, I was like, there's things I hadn't done yet, and it ain't that I don't want to come to heaven, and it ain't that I don't want to, you know, like I'm not scared of dying so much as that I'm scared of not completing the things that I've done yet. That I'm scared that I haven't completed the things that I needed to do yet. And I finally lay there, and then next thing you know, the ambulance is coming. I see the flashing lights up above the hill, and 3 ambulance drivers and a firefighter slide down this big rough rocky ass hill, you know, like it's a tough look for them. And they get me on an ambulance bed, a stretcher, and I don't remember how it didn't hurt that much, them getting me on the stretcher, but finally they got me on it, and they pulled me back up top of the hill, and I told the ambulance driver, he kept trying to tell me, he was like, "Lay down and relax, son, lay down and relax." And I was like, "I can't relax or I'll die. I can't relax or I'll die." And he said, "Son, you fought long enough." He said, "You've done your job." He said, "But we're here now. We got this for you." You know, and he stuck me in the leg with the shot. I think, like, none of this might have been real, or it might have just all been my imagination. I don't remember. But when I woke up, this is what I remembered. Him sticking me in the leg with the shot and putting a warm blanket on me. But it wasn't a regular blanket. It was like a clear plastic blanket that had a bunch of small holes in it that had warm air blowing out of it. And he pulled that warm blanket on me, and the last thing I remember him saying was, "We got it from here, you can relax." And I went to sleep, and next thing you know, I woke up in the hospital. But I just wanted to share that story with y'all, and I appreciate y'all for kicking it with me tonight. And this is my channel, everything you need to know by an amputee for amputees, and I appreciate y'all kicking it with me tonight.